As the people curse at Alexander, calling him trash and an incompetent knight, one of the old men yells that Alexander said they would be safe if they hid in the shelter he created. Was this his idea of safety? Alexander tries to calm him down, but the old man angrily screams, asking if he's serious. Sui asks Minerva why people are acting this way, and Minerva responds, asking if Sui didn't understand what she saw just now. Since the danger has passed, the people need someone to blame. Jagger adds that Alexander saved their lives, so now they're demanding compensation. They will probably even ask for funds to rebuild the village as the people scream, asking how they are supposed to take responsibility and demanding money. From behind, a voice suddenly curses the crowd, calling them absolutely pathetic. Alexander turns, calling out to his comrade, asking what they are doing here. The comrade, Shane, deputy commander of the Shadow Knights, declares that the people should be grateful for having their lives saved. Shane asks Alexander if he's injured, and Alexander assures him that he's fine and thanks him. The old man, still angry, asks who's here, calling them tax thieves, saying the knights couldn't protect them. He demands they leave and rebuild the village themselves. The knights, irritated, warn the old man that if he has complaints about the Shadow Knights and their relief efforts, he needs to submit an official petition. The crowd begins to murmur, accusing the knights of threatening citizens and pointing out that they barely survived the dragon attack. Shane, furious, curses them, calling them bastards. He says it was only thanks to Commander Alexander, who predicted the path and timing of the dragon attack, that they were able to survive. His proposal and pioneering plan saved their lives. The villagers shout back, asking what he expects them to do, insisting that if the knights want to protect something, they should protect it properly. Jagger notices that Alexander, questioning whether he really predicted the timing and path of the dragon attack on his own, showcases that he has his capabilities. Shane, now grumbling, says that maybe they shouldn't have helped people like this in the first place, but Alexander stops him. Alexander explains that the people are simply anxious and that especially during times like these, a knight must be devoted to saving people. He fantasizes about the people cheering for him, imagining them admiring him and the Shadow Knights for their efforts. He believes the people will eventually recognize them, knowing that the Shadow Knights exist to protect the world. Jagger, in disbelief, asks Alexander if he still trusts and believes in these people despite everything he's been through. Alexander replies that, of course, he doesn't trust everyone, but these people can still be trusted. This brings tears to the eyes of the Shadow Knights, who are touched by his faith. They cry, expressing that it's nice to have even one person believe in them, and they declare they have no choice but to follow Alexander to the end. Alexander laughs, feeling proud, thinking that this time they will surely be acknowledged. However, just as he feels triumphant, Alexander finds himself being arrested. At the royal palace of Evergreen, Alexander is brought before the discipline committee. Jagger thinks to himself that this outcome was expected. Evergreen is a land that has enjoyed peace for far too long. Naturally, covering up problems is more familiar to them than solving them. Evergreen's Prime Minister, Drake Alany, presents the case, stating that if the hero of condemnation hadn't been there, they would have suffered heavy casualties. He proceeds to list the charges against Alexander: spreading false information, damaging property, and threatening civilians. Drake asks if Alexander has any counter-arguments to rebut these charges. Another official chimes in, claiming that the Shadow Knights have always been troublemakers and suggesting that they dismiss the entire disgraced group. Other officials debate whether they should seek support from Cade, a neighboring country, or Degaya. One of them points out that Degaya houses the Legion of the Five Extremes, the continent's strongest force. The Prime Minister asks the king for his opinion on where they should seek help. Peter Evergreen, the king of Evergreen, admits he's hesitant about bringing foreign troops into their land. Drake, clearly frustrated, urges the king to engage in politics with a broader perspective. He argues that as long as they leave the dragon problem unattended, the people will suffer. Now is the time to decide which power to rely on, and the king, trembling, seems too indecisive to make a decision. Jagger reflects that the king is weak and unwilling to act, choosing to rely on someone else's power rather than trying anything himself. Jagger thinks that the moment foreign troops from other countries enter Evergreen, the heart of the continent, the country will no longer be the best place to live. It will instead become a battlefield. He also suspects the Prime Minister will likely betray the country. Jagger decides there's nothing more to see here, concluding that Evergreen, the so-called best country to live in, will soon fall. As Jagger prepares to leave, he comments that the prospects don't look good. Minerva protests, saying they are in the middle of watching a fight, but Jagger is already ready to leave. Just then, someone interrupts. An official proposes forming a dragon extermination force to defeat the dragon and protect Evergreen's sovereignty. The suggestion comes from Cain Evergreen, Prince of Evergreen. Drake mocks him, asking if they really plan to defeat a dragon with their own forces. The other officials laugh, ridiculing Cain for proposing that they handle the problem on their own. Drake sarcastically asks Cain that Evergreen, lacking special forces, truly thinks it can take down a dragon. He even offers Cain the chance to try it himself. The king, ashamed, apologizes to his son, calling himself incapable and blaming himself for Evergreen's current situation. Cain wonders aloud what will happen to Evergreen now. The king, dejected, suggests that it might be better for the people to become vassals of another country rather than perish by the dragon's hand. Jagger interrupts, declaring that it's far too early to give up. If the dragon is their problem, he offers to help defeat it. The officials are stunned, recognizing him as the hero of condemnation. Grabbing Alexander, Jagger tells the officials that he would like to lend them this person instead. At Drake Alany's office, Drake reflects on how the plan has gone awry. If those people manage to kill the dragon, there will be no point in the trouble they went through to bring the dragon to attack Evergreen. Despite Evergreen being equipped with abundant resources and supplies and strategically placed on the continent, the weak royal family never sought to grow the country beyond its current state. They call it a good country to live in, a resort, but it's all empty talk that makes people laugh. What Evergreen really needs is a revolution, one accomplished through bloodshed. Drake thinks that in the end, what they ultimately need is an army, and wasn't the dragon brought here for that very reason? A red-haired girl comments that the Prime Minister of Evergreen seems quite concerned and asks if he is truly scared now. The old man remarks that his only concern is the future of Evergreen, nothing more. He asks if the girl, Artemis, heard what he said and hopes she isn't trying to provoke him. Artemis, the red-haired girl, says she's just concerned, worried that unnecessary concerns might hinder the revolution. Drake agrees that they must eliminate unnecessary variables and speed up the revolution instead of relying on foreign armies. Otherwise, they'll be forced to mobilize their own forces. Artemis agrees, saying that it sounds good and suggests deploying the S-class mercenaries they hired. Drake promises her a significant reward when he becomes king, but he has a question. Why is she supporting the old man? Artemis replies that his hypocrisy and greed appeal to her. She likes the contradiction of sacrificing the present for the sake of the future as she moves closer to the old man. Drake, visibly frustrated, shouts that this revolution was supposed to be for the revival of Evergreen. Artemis dismisses his outburst, calling it a grandiose excuse and telling him to be honest with his desires. Making Evergreen strong is what he truly wants, but to achieve that, he needs to become king first. Artemis then asks if he will ignite the world with them, calling him Your Majesty Drake. Under the influence of her words, Drake worriedly admits that such power is what he desires. Artemis assures him that she can make it all happen and will give him whatever he needs to become king. Drake, overwhelmed, asks what she wants in return: nation, people, his body, or his soul. Artemis simply says she has no interest in his frail body. She wants him to move forward without fear and to start a war immediately when he becomes king. She tells him to rush into battle like a moth drawn to a flame, letting his kingdom burn with it so his desires can become a sacrifice for her master's growth. Drake, now fully convinced, pledges to serve her. In the next scene, Alexander and Jagger are moving through the Duradan Mountains near Evergreen. Alexander reminisces about how, since he was young, he has admired knights, especially the Knight of Steel, Albert Frederick. Minerva dismisses this dream, saying it's too big for someone who can't even become a knight. Jagger admits he knows, which makes Shane angry. Shane asks if Minerva's words aren't going too far. Sui then whispers something in Minerva's ear. Alexander acknowledges that it's an ambitious dream. He explains that the Shadow Knights are formed from people expelled from various knight orders. They follow other knights like shadows, offering support. But still, they dream of becoming heroes, rather than just supporters. Minerva shrugs this off, telling him to dream however he wants. Alexander asks if the rumors he's heard are true. He asks if it's true that he is a suspicious man who only travels with young girls and is one of the 5 great warriors, known for killing anyone who annoys him, and that he has a connection with Queen Emilia. Minerva confirms there isn't a single false word in what he said. Jagger glares at Minerva with a smile, pinning her to the ground. Minerva calls Jagger a wild scoundrel. Alexander thinks about Jagger's reputation as the hero of condemnation and how ruthless and cruel he is. Jagger then asks if Alexander knows why he was brought here. Alexander assumes it's because Jagger needs his help to capture the dragon. He explains that individually, the skills of each member surpass those of most knights, and if they join forces with the hero, they can theoretically subdue the dragon. Jagger declines their help, saying he only needs information about the dragon, which depresses them. Jagger considers this noisy group, thinking he'll gather the information and seize the opportunity to get rid of them. He asks Alexander how he predicted the timing and route of the dragon's attack. Alexander explains that he searched for relevant materials and memorized them all. Jagger, surprised, asks if he memorized everything. Alexander proudly states that with enough information, nothing is impossible. He adds that ancient texts say that in places overflowing with magical power, another dimension exists, and monsters cross over. Dragons are often accompanied by masses of magical power, which attract other monsters. He concludes that if they simply follow a map marking the locations of monsters near Evergreen, they can easily find dragon lairs, just like heading to the mountains behind the palace. Alexander asks if Jagger still thinks he doesn't need their help. As Jagger studies the map, impressed by the detailed information, he gets closer to Alexander. Alexander, hopeful, asks if this means Jagger is accepting him as a comrade. Jagger confirms, saying that with this information, they might truly capture the dragon. Alexander is honored to be part of the team, but Jagger quickly snatches the map from him. Alexander panics, shouting that there's only one copy, and asks Jagger to be careful. Meanwhile, Minerva and Sui quietly walk towards Jagger from behind. Jagger then shouts, asking Minerva if he's ready. When Minerva confirms, Jagger uses Jagger vision and explosive steps to dash away, leaving Alexander and Shane in disbelief. Alexander asks if they will return. Shane says, probably not. The scene shifts and Jagger, now far away, remarks that they've gone far enough. Sui asks how they could steal from people who worked so hard. Minerva jokingly asks if Jagger has abandoned the hero's path to become a bandit. Jagger punches him, denying the accusation. He explains that the reason he took the map is to save those people because the map could potentially bring ruin to Evergreen. Minerva and Sui, in disbelief, question how a simple map could ruin Evergreen. Jagger explains that the map doesn't show the location of the dragon that attacked Evergreen. If they bother the other dragons unnecessarily, they'll only increase the number of dragons they have to deal with, turning everything into a sea of fire. He adds that this isn't something that can be solved with mere enthusiasm, as he has reduced the danger. The Shadow Knights will probably be grateful to him someday. Sui cheers for Jagger, asking if he can determine where the dragon that attacked Evergreen is. Jagger responds that, of course, Alexander was only trying to see the forest, not the trees. He relied solely on the map without properly sensing his surroundings. To uncover what's hidden in the forest, one must first look at the trees. He questions if they noticed how all the trees are falling in one direction. These are traces of the dragon roaming from its lair. There are even scratching marks caused by the dragon's heat, which appear very recent. If they combine this evidence with the map information, there's only one being capable of leaving such traces. No doubt about it, the dragon that attacked is nearby. Sui praises this deduction, but Jagger humbly says it's just a simple inference. He decides to camp here, planning to explore the dragon's exact location, Alexander Oro. At night, Minerva asks Jagger why he trusts Sui so readily, yet seems hesitant to trust her, still wary of her. Jagger replies that, of course, he can't trust someone who tried to kill him, which makes Minerva raise an eyebrow. Sui insists she's not making excuses. She didn't particularly want to kill him. The dark magic sword amplifies her horror and emotions, which overflow into the dark sword, and that's not what she intended. During her struggles, she met him, and their first encounter wasn't the most pleasant. She leans closer to Jagger, saying that thanks to his immunity to the dark sword, her heart and mind feel peaceful now. She no longer resents anyone, and adds that she doesn't have to be sad alone anymore. She asks him to rely on her too and wonders if he understands. Jagger assesses her actions, making Minerva angry. She tries to slap Jagger, cursing him as an insolent servant. She insists that her owner is speaking seriously and questions why he can't take it seriously. Jagger insists he is giving a serious response. Minerva urges Sui to say something. Sui declares that she thinks Jagger is a kind person. She adds that although he may appear cold and rough on the outside, she can sense something different within him. Jagger asks if that's true, prompting Minerva to say that's enough. Minerva continues, saying that since it has come to this, even if she has to force it, she will make him use it. Jagger asks what's gotten into her as Minerva transforms into a sword, urging him to accept her willingly. Jagger throws the sword aside, asking her to calm down for a moment. The sword slashes the dimensional illusion, prompting Minerva to ask what this is. Jagger explains that it's the illusion magic that disappeared long ago. Sui questions where they are, and Jagger reveals that they have been right in front of the dragon's lair all this time. Minerva cheers, asking if they saw her skills. Jagger clarifies that it was just an accidental discovery. He hadn't expected there to be an illusion magic formation where Minerva had been struck earlier. The magic was complex enough to eliminate all sense of perception and presence. He never anticipated stripping it away from the dragon's magic so easily. Perhaps that fellow is truly capable after all. Jagger pats Minerva on the head, commending her as they move on. He thinks that the owner of this cave seems to be an extremely greedy individual. He deduced that the dragon eliminated all the surrounding monsters to claim the cave for itself, and would soon realize its illusion magic has been broken. He decides to scout and call for reinforcements immediately. Jagger asks why Minerva keeps taking the lead. Minerva explains that the one who finds the interest first becomes the leader and urges Jagger to follow her as she runs off. Jagger shouts at her not to do anything stupid and to come back immediately if she finds something. He thinks it would be better if Sui stayed by his side, and she agrees. Jagger questions if she isn't anxious or uneasy about him not using her. Sui states that they are Jagger's dark magic swords, tools for slashing and stabbing. If they aren't recognized as useful, it's only natural to feel uneasy. Jagger expresses his desire for them to be happy, but Sui insists he doesn't need to say anything more. She acknowledges that she is bound to Jagger and understands that he isn't being cautious of them, but rather he is cherishing them. She believes he has returned as the kind Jagger. From behind, Minerva attempts to kick Jagger, but he blocks it, asking if she discovered something. Minerva excitedly replies that she saw things she could never have imagined in the depths beyond the darkness. Deep in the heart of the cave is a treasure pile stacked like a mountain, and yes, she spotted a dragon as well. Jagger, pissed off to his wits, asks that after scouting for a long time, can she tell him why she brought the dragon along? Minerva responds that, as he can see, it was when she discovered this damn treasure. A voice spots her, commenting that she's a thief and asking where his gang is. The dragon also discovered her, and it's okay. Doesn't he have the Dragon Slayer red sword? Jagger punches Minerva, saying she should get a taste of the red dragon, as she surely didn't lay her hands on the treasure. Sui says that it is said that a dragon will never spare anyone who seeks a treasure, to which Minerva comments that she did not. He asks what they are looking at, as her pocket is filled with treasure. Jagger says that there is only one way, as he apologizes in a weird way to the dragon. He thinks that if force doesn't work, they will resolve it through dialogue, but Sui asks if it won't work. However, the dragon abides by it. The dragon says, "Aren't you the human who blocked his breath back then? He even shattered my meticulously crafted illusion magic. If Jagger were a thief or an assassin, he would have killed you, but he must show mercy to talented humans." Minerva suggests they quickly return to Evergreen, and the dragon agrees, saying they should go back so that on the day he attacks Evergreen again, he can enjoy witnessing their feeble resistance. Jagger says yes, thanking him for his understanding as he excuses himself, thinking that escaping is their only priority right now. As Minerva's cloth gets caught on a stone, she falls, and her golden coins fall to the ground as she comments that it's all out. Seeing this, the dragon screams, cursing out the thieves. Jagger asks Minerva when she said she wanted to see his skills, to which Minerva asks why. Jagger says he thinks now is the time, as all this happened because of her. He throws Minerva toward the dragon, and he screams that she needs to resolve it and come back. The dragon comments on the bastard humans using their own people as bait, and Minerva cries out, saying she will regret this, as the dragon says that no matter how hard they try, nothing will change. As the dragon gets ready, he sees Minerva's sword form as it's flying towards him. The dragon prepares to launch an attack toward Jagger, who takes out Sui to run away. The scene shifts to a mountain valley where Alexander is sitting alone. Shane asks how long he is going to wait for that hero, to which Alexander replies to trust the hero a little more. His disappearance surely has a different meaning. He thinks that he can't tell the ones who believed, followed, and trusted him that their hope was taken away by the hero. He can't even figure out what to do and can't say it aloud. From behind, a soldier comes in, saying he is frustrated and can't take it anymore. If that's the case, let's just take out the knights. It's Daryl who grabs Alexander, asking what good it is if he's only smart, but can't grasp the situation. Alexander asks him to calm down for a bit, but Daryl asks how he can stay calm in this situation. That hero person took away their only means of storing their honor and ran away. They screwed up. Why can't he say this out loud? Could it be that he is ashamed and embarrassed of them? The other knight says that is not the issue. They should act like mercenaries, and Daryl is also doing that because he's worried about the leader. They are working hard for everyone's sake, but in the end, they are being treated like this. Hearing all this, Alexander gets emotional and hacks down his frustration, saying he is sorry as a bad leader. The soldiers respond that they will still follow him. From behind, Shane says that even if they are not knights, isn't it enough to live for honor? Alexander agrees, saying that in that case, the Shadow Knights will be disbanded from today. Suddenly, they hear a huge blast, revealing the dragon's location, and that dragon is injured right now. Shane asks if they are still waiting, as the hero who took the map will go straight to the dragon. With a hero of that caliber, they can barely try. And while they are fighting each other, they will rush in and deliver the final decisive blow, having planned all of this. Alexander is truly the leader as they bow before him, leaving him in disbelief. Alexander orders the knights to advance, and the dragon hunting will start now. With a huge dragon breath, Sui asks they should catch their breath for a moment, to which Jagger affirms. If they are here, the dragon would not be able to catch them right away. Sui says she thought she was going to die, and Jagger responds that it was a close call to think he would breathe fire all of a sudden. Just then, Minerva comes in and says, "That's my line," before running away, leaving her, his owner, behind. He tries to slash Jagger, but Jagger blocks it as Minerva attempts to chomp on him. Jagger cries out in pain, saying that it's her first time, and he thinks she did a great job. From behind, the dragon spots them, cursing them as filthy humans. Jagger notices that it has already caught up to them. The dragon heaves, saying that the smell of those guys is overwhelming, but sees nothing out there as Jagger and the party hide under a blanket. Jagger asks them to be quiet as the dragon inquires, "Is it because of his mood?" He urges them to try running away somewhere, claiming that the joy of catching them will double as he leaves. Jagger and the others emerge from under the blanket, wondering, is it gone? Minerva says she thought she was going to die. Jagger responds that now is not the time to relax and urges them to escape quickly, pointing out that the exit is right in front of them. Meanwhile, Shane screams at the dragon, calling for it to come out, which leaves Jagger baffled. Shane comments that Alexander wants his blood. Jagger remarks, "How did those unintelligent people find this place?" Soe asks, "What should they do?" To which Jagger replies that they have to deal with it as they hide behind a boulder to watch their battle. He states that they are just here to watch the fight. The dragon comments that the knights have come after the thieves and thinks he is sending assassins. He believes Drake has sent assassins after him because he has betrayed him. Soe asks, "Don't they have to help those people?" Jagger responds, "Helping those fools who can't distinguish between courage and recklessness?" as the dragon prepares to attack, saying that he clearly gave them a chance. Jagger states that they will all die here, but Alexander urges the soldiers to shield and move forward. Jagger insists that it's over and that they should escape during this opportunity as Sue screams at him to look. They have deployed a mana shield. Jagger acknowledges that those guys are pretty tough, to which the dragon proudly comments to take his breath in. Alexander commands the infiltration team to flank to the left and tie up the dragon's ankles, realizing that the dragon has a major cut over its eye, probably the mark of the hero. Daryl says they will attack in that direction, as he tries to slice the dragon, asking, "Isn't that right?" Alexander agrees. The dragon screams that those things, which couldn't even be compared to bugs 500 years ago, dare to attack him. Alexander replies that the dragon is still living in the memories of the past and that humans have grown. They are enough for him now. While observing all this, Jagger notes that it seems it's not his turn to step forward. Jagger thinks it wasn't a lie that each individual has good skills and that they weren't just empty boasts. He believes the reason the knights can demonstrate their abilities must be the presence of their commander, Carl Alexander. But he senses something crucial is still missing. As Jagger moves out, he tells the others to wait for a moment. Minerva asks, "Where is he going?" To which Jagger replies that he will finish that and come back. The dragon flies into the air, asking, "Do they think they could catch him? What will they do if he roars into the sky?" Jagger declares that he will do this as he gets ready. The dragon is shocked to see the red dragon sword as Jagger flies through the cliff, using his Jagger vision to perform an explosive blade strike to slash the dragon. The dragon wonders how long she, Araneth Greenfold, will continue to curse them. With a huge recoil, Jagger is taken aback, thinking that he can't see because of the dust, but the dragon uses his tail to attack Jagger, who barely dodges it. The dragon warns how dare he point that cursed object at him, as he curses Jagger to die. Jagger uses his Jagger vision to activate his Dark Heaven flash to attack the dragon, causing him to cough out blood. Jagger points at the injured dragon, saying, "Are you going to keep doing this?" To which the dragon replies that he will tell him everything, and let's resolve this through dialogue. As the dragon explains, Jagger interjects, "Instead of the Prime Minister Drake being behind it, he was just being used, isn't it?" The dragon affirms, saying that they asked him to attack Evergreen in exchange for a treasure, and he did everything they wanted, but they sent him to kill him. Alexander shouts, saying that it's treacherous, as Leader Drake has dedicated his life to reforming Evergreen, yet he's selling his country, to which the Jagger states that he's not selling the country, he wants to become the king himself. The dragon must have been used as bait to bring foreign armies into Evergreen, and now that he has served his purpose, they want to dispose of him, for which Alexander asks, could it be that they are preparing for a rebellion? Jagger affirms that to change what has been enveloped in peace, war is necessary, and the easiest way to start a war is to become the king. The dragon affirms that it's right, and what he wants to say is like that, for which Jagger swears, saying, "Should we capture Drake together?" But he decides that he will kill them both. And that's his conclusion as he strikes down the dragon. But he realizes this is illusionary magic, to which the dragon comments that what he wants to say is that he's a foolish human, and while he was wasting his time, his magic has been completed. As Jagger comments that he can't see anything and asks Minerva and Sui to be by his side as they abide. The dragon says that there is nowhere to run and they will die, for which Jagger asks, "Didn't they agree to resolve this through dialogue?" To which Minerva asks that he must use this body to break that lizard's magic spell as the dragon prepares his breath, saying that dragons don't bow their heads to insignificant humans. Jagger realizes that it's over there in the sky as the dragon launches his attack on them, saying that he managed to hold on to his petty tricks, but he was no match for the power of the dragon, calling them insignificant beings. Sui questions this, saying that they are still alive, as they are protected by a shield. The Jagger asks how it happened. He thought they were about to lose, to which Minerva spots that it's the blooming of the dragon's blood that stained the red dragon in the previous attack, making it stronger, and this guy protected them. As Jagger smiles, "Is that so?" It sends shivers to the dragon as Jagger questions if they can strengthen the red dragon with the blood of a dragon, to which Minerva asks the dragon if he should donate some blood. Jagger asks the dragon to just bleed quietly and give it to him as he throws the red dragon's sword toward the dragon, who uses his spell to shield it from the attack, taunting if they think that the same method would work on him. He laughs, saying that no matter how strong the red dragon is, that level of power is nothing. But he realizes that the sword penetrated through his spell as he realized it was rotating and coming at high speed. The attack penetrates through the body of the dragon to kill him. Jagger thinks that he didn't initiate that rotation just now and wonders if it's all the power of the dread dragon. From behind, Shane and company ask the ladies if they are safe, realizing that Jagger has defeated the dragon alone. They question who the hero of contamination is, to which Jagger says there is nothing special, as he thinks let's not mention the red dragon, as they may get interested in it. Alexander asks, but the ceiling seems a bit strange, and as Jagger realizes that the layer is collapsing, it's because of the shock when the dragon fell as he screams to run away. Alexander questions Jagger. Where is he going? And he would be in danger, to which Jagger says that he needs to retrieve his sword as he asks him to take the kids and leave. Jagger thinks to strengthen it with the dragon's blood and even form a mana shield on his own. He can't just leave behind such a good weapon as he realizes the red aura, realizing that the red dragon was a cursed magic sword. Red dragon, a weapon that has absorbed the blood of dozens of dragons for hundreds of years, may be a simple sword. Nothing unusual happened for 500 years. But the truth is that the red dragon was sealed. After all, one can't drink blood from a display case, and they all know one has to keep it on a tight leash until just before their death. It was a sufficient sacrifice to awaken the sealed red dragon, and the weapon of the dragon slayer, now awakened after 500 years, was revealing its true form. Jagger comments that it's truly troublesome if things continue like this. The outcome is obvious. Another cursed sword will attach itself to him. In that case, there is only one solution as he uses his Jagger Vision explosive strikes, thinking that he doesn't have to hesitate and just get rid of it. He thinks that here is the entrance, as Jagger is shocked as he gets buried under the rumbles. The scene shifts as Alexander thinks that everything has collapsed. The dragons and curses the nobles. The extermination mission is complete with this, as Daryl cheers on, saying that those unintelligent nobles, after ignoring it for so long, now choose to move on, for which Alexander is quite troubled. The hero of condemnation, without his help, they wouldn't have accomplished anything, but he actually saved them and went alone into the cave, to which Daryl says that the rock is infused with mana, so its strength is no joke. It was heroic, and it's hard to believe that they can't meet him anymore. But from behind, Minerva comments that Jagger is running late, to which Sui abides, saying that it's right. The soldiers question why they are behaving like that and how they cannot feel sad when the hero died, to which Minerva asks, "What are they talking about?" Sui says that those nights are funny. There is no way Jagger would just die like that. The scene shifts as Jagger uses Jagger Vision, the formless fist, to break through the rubble. He thinks that he thought it was trapped without a chance to move. Minerva comments that he's late, for which Jagger apologizes, saying that he had something to take care of inside. Alexander is beyond shocked as he questions if Jagger managed to escape from there with just his bare fists. Sui asks what happened to the red dragon, to which Jagger says that he left it inside. The situation wasn't good, and there are things they have to give up. He thinks it's good to hide the fact that it's a cursed sword, as Alexander thinks that to save them, did he even sacrifice and give up on the red dragon? He thinks that he has never fully trusted the hero until now and had doubts about the incident where he took the map too. But if they received this much grace and favor, it's only natural for them to fulfill their duties as knights. They bow before Jagger, saying that they will serve him from today, as the hero of condemnation is still someone they can't fully trust. But right now, they need him. If internal conflict breaks out due to Drake's rebellion, it's certain that innocent civilians will be harmed. However, if he is strong enough to defeat dragons and break through collapsing caves, he can certainly stop the rebellion without harming the citizens, and if only that power can be used in the right way. For which Alexander asks to save the people together, to which Jagger declines, saying, "Is he telling him to get involved in troublesome matters again?" Alexander baffled, asking that if things continue like this, innocent people will suffer. Isn't he someone who fulfills his duty? But Minerva interrupts to ask him to do it in moderation. Does he want to indulge in a meaningless knight's play that doesn't suit him and end up killing himself? No matter how dedicated he is, all that awaits him is reproach, and no one will acknowledge him, making Alexander furious. He despairs, thinking that the atmosphere has completely changed from before. Minerva says that the sincerity cannot be conveyed to the other person. How long does he think he can endure this? Loneliness is the only thing that awaits him in the end, for which Alexander comments that the lady is right. He doesn't have the talent or strength to be a knight. However, he will still give it a try since that's the only way they can be recognized for their worth. Sui says to go ahead and clash as much as he wants, regardless of the outcome. Wholehearted dedication is a beautiful thing, as she asks Jagger. Jagger says that it's fine, as he will help them, grabs Alexander, warning to just keep this in mind. If he betrays him, he will kill him. If he tries to use him as he pleases, he will kill him. He asks if he would serve him for the rest of his life, didn't he? He has to take responsibility for his words and all of them. He will keep them on a tight leash until just before their death, leaving the knights in utter disbelief.